Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Louise from The Dusty Jacket. Whether you're battling the outdoors, your current social situation, or just life in general, all of the characters in these next 5 books have one thing in common. They're fighting to survive. Today I'll be reviewing books across all age groups, but each is the very definition of determination and perseverance. So hold on tight while I review 5 books about survival. Let's get started. Our first book is The King of Mulberry Street by Donna Jo Napoli, which I rated 4 out of 5 stars and has a recommended reading age of 8 to 12. 9-year-old Dom is illegitimate, poor, but loved. One day his mother takes him to the docks and stows him away on a cargo ship, headed to a place where dreams come true. America. Alone with only a new pair of shoes, Dom struggles for daily survival in this country with strange languages and customs, all the while searching for a way to get back home. Napoli's book was inspired by her paternal grandfather who, like Dom, came to New York as a young boy. Set in 1892 Manhattan, we get a main character who's scrappy, generous, and honest, and manages to stay faithful to his moral values and religious convictions.
That is very important to me.
This is a wonderful story made better by the fact that it is based on a real person and true events. However, it does contain instances of violence, not to mention Dom's brutal abandonment by his mother, which I think makes this book better suited for readers ages 12 and up.
Let's be on the safe side.
When recalling his life back in Napoli, Dom often remembers the proverbs of his Nana, one being, "You get, you give." And Dom takes this to heart as we see him always giving throughout the book. As he adjusts to his new country, he reminds us that family isn't defined by bloodline or name, but by love and devotion. Next is Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell, which I rated 5 out of 5 stars and has a recommended reading age of 9 to 11. 12-year-old Karana loves her village of Galasat, where everyone has their place and knows their role. Life is good until the Aleut ship, with its 2 red sails, arrives at the island to hunt otters. What should have been an amicable partnership turns into betrayal and bloodshed and marks the beginning of a new life for Karana and her people. With most of their men dead, the villagers spot another ship, this one bearing white sails and wanting to take them all somewhere safe. But fate intervenes and Karana finds herself abandoned and alone.
Cause I'm all alone.
Over the years, Karana learns how to survive as she continues to scour the water, looking for the sails. White will reunite her with her family, while red will surely bring her death. Based on the true story of a Nicaragua woman who survived alone on San Nicolas Island for 18 years, Island of the Blue Dolphins is a story of courage, survival, and perseverance. With only herself to rely on, Karana quickly disregards the laws of her village, which forbade women to make weapons.
They're more like guidelines anyway.
She also finds a safe place to sleep, stocks food, constructs a home, and secures her property. It would have been easy and appropriate for Odell to allow Karana time to grieve and buckle under the weight of her predicament and tremendous responsibilities.
I do not have time for this.
Instead, he gives us a character who rises above her circumstances to forge a new life for herself while finding courage, compassion, and companionship along the way. With this book, Odell gives us a heroine who is strong, brave, and kind, not because of who she is, but because life requires it of her, and she fearlessly chooses to answer the call. Book number 3 is Call It Courage by Armstrong Sperry, which I rated 5 out of 5 stars and has a recommended reading age of 9 to 12. 15-year-old Mufatu is afraid of the sea. He's had this fear for as long as he can remember. His father, the great chief of Hikaru, was ashamed of him, for his people were great seafarers who worship courage. Angry and ashamed, Mufatu sets off one night in a canoe with his dog and albatross as his only companions. His father had christened him Stoutheart upon his birth, and Mufatu is determined to earn that name or die trying. Although there are mentions of Maui, god of the fishermen, and Moana, the sea god, and even Maui's famed fishhook,
Yes, it's really me, it's Maui. Breathe it in.
Disney fans shouldn't confuse Sperry's book with the movie about a spunky Polynesian princess. Rather, it's more along the lines of our previously reviewed book, Island of the Blue Dolphins, but told from a boy's perspective. Sperry gives readers the story of a boy who not only has to deal with his own fears and shortcomings, but has to do so under the weight of being the island chief's son. To be a coward amongst people who worship heroism is one thing, but add the burden of being the island's heir apparent, you've got quite a heavy load to bear.
It's too much pressure.
Call It Courage is a fast-paced, tense, and suspenseful story with a protagonist who relies heavily on wit and skill to survive. And whether you call it courage, impulse, or instinct, Mufatu discovers his inner strength, which allows him to begin believing in himself. Sounds like courage to me. Book number 4 is A Long Way Gone, Memoirs of a Boy Soldier by Ishmael Bea, which I rated 5 out of 5 stars and has a recommended reading age of 16 and up. Ishmael Bea is a typical 12-year-old boy. He enjoys rap music, practicing his dance moves, and playing soccer with his friends. But on one January day in 1993, what he, his brother, and friends don't realize as they head to a talent show is that they will never be returning to their village of Mogwemo. War has come to Sierra Leone, and the boys soon find themselves wandering from village to village, searching for food, struggling for survival, and keeping one step ahead of the rebels. When they are captured by the government army, they are given a choice: join and fight or die.
That's not much of a choice, is it?
Bea's personal account of his years as a child soldier is horrifying and unimaginable. In his book, he says that it was his father's words that kept him moving, despite his weariness. If you are alive, there is hope for a better day and something good to happen. If there is nothing left in the destiny of a person, he or she will die. It was hard reading Bea's story and learning about his vile actions during the war, his terrifying nightmares that made him fear sleep, and his addiction to marijuana and cocaine. What is harder still is knowing that the practice of using children as soldiers in war still exists and remains rampant. But Bea gives us a story not just of tragedy, but of redemption and hope. By forgiving himself, Ishmael Bea forged a new beginning and began sharing his incredible story with the world, a story that will hopefully bring awareness and change for the thousands of children still fighting wars throughout the world. Our last book is the adult fiction The Miracle Life of Edgar Mint by Brady Udall, which I rated 5 out of 5 stars. 7-year-old Edgar Mint is what you might call a miracle boy.
I believe in miracles.
The son of a drunk, heartsick mother and an absentee wannabe cowboy father, he survives a near-fatal accident only to live a life in reverse. His early years are filled with heartache, hard choices, and terrible consequences, while later on he enjoys the sheltered, unfettered, and uncluttered life of a child. Throughout his life, Edgar is always being saved and, quite frankly, he's getting pretty sick of it. But once he finds religion, Edgar finally realizes what his God-given purpose is: to find and forgive the man who nearly killed him.
I forgive you.
The Miracle Life of Edgar Mint is undoubtedly one of the most entertaining and immersive books that I've read in a long time. Every chapter is thoughtful, engaging, and provocative, and Udall takes great care in introducing us to Edgar and slowly allowing us to care about this peculiar and resilient little outcast. Throughout his journey, Edgar meets his share of heroes and villains, teasers and tormentors, bullies, and a best friend. He survives physical, verbal, and emotional abuse and faithfully captures every thought and memory through an old Hermes Jubilee typewriter. I can't remember the last time when a book transported me so deeply into a fictional world or when I felt so drawn to a character. Edgar's story is both heartbreaking and heartwarming. All too young, he accepts misfortune as his constant companion, yet attempts to turn every bad situation into a learning experience. Thankfully, hope springs eternal for our miracle boy, and when he finds someone who truly loves and cares for him, Edgar realizes that being saved might not be such a bad thing after all. Well, that's it. We'll include a link to our Goodreads page for complete reviews of all of these books in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this video, please click on the like and subscribe buttons and make sure to hit the bell so that you're notified when new videos become available. Again, thanks for watching, and I look forward to bringing back some old titles so that you can make new memories, because any time is a good time to dust off a new favorite. Keep reading!